Hi and welcome to Leavitt Brothers tutorial on bearish flags. Bearish flags are small continuation patterns that represent a brief pause within an already existing downtrend. They appear flat or trade with a slight upward slant and occur in the middle of a large drop or immediately after a stock has broken down from a substantial rally. The slight short-term uptrend against the overall downtrend is productive and increases the odds of a decent drop if the pattern resolves down. It serves two functions. One, weak shorts that were hoping to take profits at lower prices get scared and cover their positions. Once enough have covered, the underneath support in essence is lessened. 2. The slight uptrend also indicates the lay public is being suckered back into the stock, as they buy what they believe is a cheap stock. These new stockholders will add selling pressure to the stock when its downtrend continues. When the buying from the lay public dries up and the weak shorts finish covering, support disappears and the stock can continue down. Downside breaks do not have the same volume requirement as their bullish counterparts. Like other bearish breaks, there is often a delayed volume surge. But a stock does need to close below the low of the pattern to confirm the move. Until this happens, proper trade management is very important. For starters, the drop into the pattern can be used to establish an expected target. But again, this is just for starters and should not be relied on heavily. Some traders will measure the move to the far side of the pattern and project it down from the breakout level as shown here. Others will measure to the midpoint. There is no right or wrong answer. This isn't an exact science. Targets are meant to give you a frame of reference to work from. They are not set in stone. Let's look at a couple of examples. Here's AMX. The stock had made a series of lower highs and lower lows before trading into a small bearish flag. Notice how volume was well below average within the pattern and when the stock broke down, but then ramped up as the stock continued to fall. This is a good example of a delayed volume surge. Human Genome. The stock dropped about 25% off its high before moving into a bear flag pattern. Notice how volume declined significantly within the pattern. This is an ideal situation. Nobody knows what the next move is going to be, and as more and more traders line up on the sidelines waiting for the next move, potential energy builds. In this case, the move from the top to the far side of the pattern did a good job identifying where the selling pressure would eventually run dry. Here's KLIC. The stock broke down from a large topping pattern, trended down for several weeks, and then traded into a 4-week bear flag with support just above 10. Notice how volume was light within the pattern, but then was solid after. We typically don't want to see a huge volume surge when the stock first breaks down because that's often a sign of capitulation. But in this case, volume stayed strong well after the breakdown, and that's what you want to see. The move from the previous breakdown could be used to determine a reasonable target. Let's quickly go through a few more. We find it helpful to look at successful pattern formations to train our eyes. Biogen. The stock rolled over and fell into a bear flag pattern before continuing its downtrend. Clear Channel. This is a good example of a stock which broke a longer-term support level and then immediately traded into a bear flag. This is fairly common. Notice how the volume surge was delayed until a week or so after the breakdown. IMMU. It too immediately traded into a bear flag pattern after breaking a long-term support level. In this case, the stock moved into a bearish rectangle and eventually continued down. That wraps up this tutorial. Again, bear flags are brief pauses within downtrends. Ideally, volume will be average when support is taken out, but then ramp up as the stock continues to fall. The move into the pattern can be used as a guide to project a target, but that target is not set in stone.